Even if you are divorced, that is not a circumstance powerful enough to override your power. When you understand who you are and your superpower, the quicker you're going to realize that you can do the impossible. Like get your ex back even after a divorce, even if they threw all your shit on the lawn and said that they never want to speak to you again. Maybe they blocked you. Maybe there's a situation where not only you're divorced, but you can't even see your kids. I have seen clients before overcome the worst of odds, and you are no different. So then, why is it that so many people, 1, 2, 3, why is it that most people can never get out of this situation? Well, for one, a lot of them go to red pill guys. A lot of them say, don't text her back and go in no contact for 30 days and, play hard to get and, do dread game and date all these girls to make her jealous, or date all these guys to make him jealous, right? Well, I'm going to tell you this. It's not so much of what you do, but it is who you're being when you do it. Okay, so I'm going to cut the bullshit intro short and get right to the point. Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about the affirmation techniques, the visualization techniques, but the most important technique I'm going to start this whole video with, and that is identity, or what I like to consider it as your I am. Now, really quick, okay, 1, 2, 3, really quick, I'm gonna get right to it. What is the I am? What you need to know is that you are God. What you have learned about religiously about who God is, or when atheists talk about, is there a God? Agnostics, atheists, Scientologists don't realize that they themselves are God. We all are one. There's a reason why we sense that there's a higher power out there, because we are experiencing 1, 2, 3. We are a God living in a human experience. Another thing you have to understand, you are not your body. You are not your mind. You are simply the observer of your body, of your mind. How do we know? Well, just think of it this way. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Do you want proof? Well, look at this. In your brain right now, say the word elephant, okay? And hear yourself speak it out loud in your brain. So right now, you just heard the word elephant spoken in your mind's audio. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So now you just heard someone speak the word elephant in your mind. Well, isn't that the same voice that you hear always telling you all this bullshit every single day, and all the negative self-talk and the, bad... Okay, 1, 2, 3. Well, isn't that the same voice that speaks all the negative self-talk that you hear throughout the day? Okay, so if you can hear that voice and you can direct it and command it, who is the one directing and commanding it? Is it that voice that said it, or is it something outside of that voice that told it to say the word elephant to begin with? Well, whatever it was that told your brain to say the word elephant right after you commanded it, that is your true identity. Just the same way that you said elephant is the same way that you can say right here, right now, you have your ex back. despite the circumstances of you and them being divorced. I don't care how ugly, how shitty, how against all odds your circumstances are. You are not the circumstances. You are whatever you are. Okay, 1, 2, 3. You are not the circumstances. You are the God of your reality. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to let you in on another secret. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Your divorce. 1, 2, 3. I'm about to say something very controversial that you might even click off, but stay right there. Do not even think about it. Can you take this one? Your divorce is your fault. Now hold on, don't you fucking dare. Where the hell? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Where the hell are you going? Stay right there. Don't click off. I don't mean that it was because you cheated, or it was because you didn't show them enough affection, or you were not the man or woman that they thought you should be. I mean that at some point, 1, 2, 3. I mean that whatever you see in your current 3D reality is a reflection of your past assumptions. So if that's true, that means that at one point you had the assumption that you no longer deserve this relationship, or this relationship was going to end. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that if you have a fearful thought that, okay, oops, I had it, damn, it slipped my mind now, it's over, it's ruined, like let's say you have a fearful thought that what if I get, attacked one night by, a serial killer. Oh gosh, never mind, that's not gonna happen. Oh, but it's too late, I already had it. No. You had a dominant thought at some point, whether it was conscious or subconscious, that led to this divorce. You might not have said, oh, we're going to have a divorce, oh, they're cheating on me. But you could have had a feeling that is correlated to the state of being in a divorce. Because what really is a divorce? It's rejection. So even if you didn't say the words, what if we have a divorce? If you simply had the feeling that you were not good enough, that you were not worthy of love, well, if that was a dominant state, a dominant assumption that you've even had since childhood, well, congratulations. That was something that you attracted. And because it was a part of your identity, that relationship could never hold, because it was existing in a reality from a God who created the reality of not being loved. So now that you understand identity, now that you understand that you are not the body and mind, you don't realize just how vital that is. And I will give you techniques, but if I had to choose between the three, I am is the most important. So much so that I dare to say that if you master this part, but might struggle with SATs and visualizations and robotic affirming, it might be all that you need. So I'm not going through a divorce or a breakup, but if I was, what would I do? Well, first I would recognize, since I'm not the body and I'm not the mind, I am simply what I attach to my awareness, because I am consciousness, I am the observer, therefore I am awareness. Since I am awakened, 1, 2, 3, since I'm spiritually awakened and I'm now separate from this character that I've been playing my whole life called my human body, my mind, my personality, I am going to choose from there. Once you feel the separation of being the observer, it's like your body, your personality, the job that you go to every single day is the video game, but you are the one behind the controller. So when you feel that separation, all you got to do is be the state of the one who has your desired outcome. In this case, if you still want your ex-husband back or your ex-wife back, then simply ask yourself, what would it be like to have them back? Now, shout out to, I think this guy's name is Joseph Jansen or something like that. He says it best. What would be the mood? Not just a feeling. Don't think like, oh, it's this great sensation that is right above my chest or this really weird lump in my throat. No. What is the mood? Because the mood can be more broad and it's more easier to cover all bases. Is it happy? Is it sad? Is it exhausted? Is it anxious? Is it nervous? What is the mood? Well, if your mood right now is sadness, rejection, overwhelming regret of, the guilt of the mistakes that you thought led to the divorce, I guarantee you that if you were with your ex-spouse, there would be a lot of relief. There might even be some negative moods, such as awkwardness, because maybe you know that getting them back, it might still be a little strange because everybody's going to be looking at you guys and wondering, well, what are you guys still doing talking to each other? I thought everybody down the street knew that you all hated each other. Whatever the feeling it is, because it's always based on your situation, maybe you will just be elated and you guys have this weird pattern of breaking up and making up and getting back together over and over again. It might feel normal. It might not be awkward. It might just be like, okay, this is, just like our last breakup. This is now our 8th. But don't be afraid to admit that there is going to be some negative moods. Only you can tell yourself that. And listen to whatever pops up. But don't do it as the character that you've been playing your whole life, because that's the one that manifested the divorce in the first place. Do it as awareness, the observer of your body, the observer of your thoughts. Ask that guy who is your true identity, what would the mood be if you are back with your ex-spouse? And when you find that mood, or when you find those emotions, just like Neville said, when he imagined going on the train to Barbados, he not only felt happy, but he felt sadness because he knew that he was going to have to say goodbye to, I think it was his family back in New York. So he was being realistic. He knew that just because Barbados was the destination, it doesn't mean that it was all going to be flowers and daisies. He was honest with himself and very realistic. Okay, don't be like a director of a movie who is trying to, make a biography, yet, the musician Elton John's watching the movie and he's saying, oh, that's not me. I never chewed gum like that. You know what? I'll pass. I hate this depiction of my reality. You don't want to be like that. You want to be as realistic as possible. Whether it's negative emotions or bad. So, quick techniques before I end this video, because it is getting a little long. Now that you have the vibe, what I would do is realize that what you're going through right now is a reflection of past assumptions. So therefore, when you are telling yourself these new assumptions, you might not see it materialize in the 3D right away, because you have been telling yourself the old story for so long that it still is going to be manifesting in your brain. And if you are barely telling yourself a new story, that you and your ex-spouse have reunited, and it's awkward, but it's lovely at the same time, and it's just like brand new. Well, guess what? Your 3D has some catching up to do, okay? So first realize that it might not manifest right away, even though it has before for many people. If you don't see results immediately, whether it's within days, weeks, or even months, just know that you need to persist, because that is simply your old assumptions manifesting, because whatever you put in your awareness, it has to reflect back to you. That is the law. But know that just like it's reflecting those things, it will eventually reflect what you are assuming right now, as long as you persist. So don't give up. Don't expect everything to happen like that, even though it could. Now, what would I do in the meantime? Understand that visualizations, SATs, and affirmations are only techniques that you should use as reminders, not as the end-all be-all, not as a principle or a commandment that thou shalt do SATs or else you will not get your SP. No, a lot of people might live and die by the techniques and by SATs and visuals, but think of it as a fun way to access your ex-wife or ex-husband before you actually get the materialization. 1, 2, 3. Think of it as a way to have fun and access your ex-spouse before it actually materializes in real life. 1, 2, 3. Think of it as a way to have fun and experience your ex-spouse before it materializes in the 3D. Because after all, the kingdom of heaven is within. Whatever you see up here is happening right now. Time is not linear. There's no past, there's no future, there's only now. So, quick techniques. When you affirm, don't just say, I have my ex-spouse, I have them back. What I would do, I mean, you can say that, but if you want something more powerful, if you want something more quicker, you need something to get the subconscious off its lazy ass. You need something to wake it up, because it's been hearing so much bullshit that if you just say something more neutral, it's just gonna be like, yeah, whatever. It's like that fat guy at the secretary desk. He's eating donuts. He needs like practically a bomb to wake him up. Well, I'll give you a bomb right here. My ex and I are in the best relationship of all time, so much so that they wrote an article about it in People magazine. Something so ridiculous that it borderline makes you laugh, and it gets you out of this rut of depression of not having your ex-spouse. Say something extreme. Now, visualizations, you can do SATs, you can fall asleep creating a scene, an imaginary scene. And before you guys say, how do I manifest? I don't understand a clue of how to visualize. You've been doing it your whole life. Stop bullshitting yourself, okay? We all know how to use our imagination. The problem is we get into this habit of saying, well, I'm not visualizing properly. You know, they look like my dad in the visual. One thing you got to understand is the more you get focused on, oh, the visual was not in 8K, it was in 240p, the more you're going to make it more difficult for yourself. This is how you know that you're visualizing right, okay? Think of a memory, okay? When you remember the first Christmas that you ever had, you might not remember exactly what shoes you were wearing or if you were wearing the blue ugly sweater, but you have an idea of something of that memory. Maybe the most important part, maybe at least the, wrapping paper on the present, that you'll never forget. Well, the same way that the image is still blurry, but you remember bits and pieces, that's the same way that you can visualize. You don't have to see the scene from act 1 to act 4, okay? Beginning, middle, end, word for word, they have to follow the damn screenplay of your movie. No. Remember like a 4-second teaser trailer where people are like at Comic-Con and they're like, that's it? All I see is Batman's ass? See your wife's ass and slap that shit and then call it a day. And I'll give you a quick 1, 2, 3. I'll give you a little secret. When you affirm that you and your ex-spouse are in the greatest relationship of all time that they wrote a magazine article about it, I guarantee you there's an image that already pops up automatically. It might not be in 3D 4K, but who gives a shit? It's the same video format that your memories are in, or the same video format that visuals are in. Stop making it more difficult for yourself. Use the image that pops up in your affirmation. There you go. But remember that you want to get to the point where you're not being Mr. Robot Pants and saying, I have my ex-spouse, me and them are back together, blah, 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 blah. You want to get to the point where you realize that you're God. Your source, you are the operant power, and if you say it once, that might just be all you need. Now, whenever you're in doubt, use these visualization techniques and affirmations as little bullets, to kill the big monster. But ultimately, you will kill the big monster by realizing that you are the creator of it all. Okay? I am Neil Larthos. This is all that the I'm Awareness had to say. And I know you're going to be okay.